Good. So my horticultural background from England, that was part of my apprenticeship. I finished school at 16, went into my apprenticeship, 3 years, and hands-on education, like what you would call a trade school, we call apprenticeships, and that's how I got started. And in 1980, I came here on a holiday visit, vacation, and loved my time here. I was the only Brit amongst the 5 of us that could stand the heat. So we have one of those estate cars. You remember those? They're like 20 feet long. I was in the doggy section in the back because everyone else needed the air conditioner. And this was May of 1980. So it wasn't like brutal hot, but it was certainly in the hundreds. So that's just a little tidbit of my time. Please come in. Thank you. So, like the announcement said, I just learned right off the bat that I needed to harvest water. So even in my first house where I was renting, I was scooping out the bath water and walking it out to the hedge, and I was watering the trees. This is in 1981. So I've been harvesting water as soon as I landed in the desert. And it was, decades later until I started learning in a more formal way, in a way that we could better manage the water flow. We can use better technology to make irrigation products that could do on low pressure and long durations of watering. Different strategies like that. I started to learn that because I was in the landscaping industry. I did my 10 years of hard labor, shoveling rock, digging rock, rolling rocks, installing rocks, hard clay, caliche. Can I keep going on and on about some of the soil conditions here? I was used to caliche because even in London area we have what's called the iron pan. And an iron pan is like a plow pan. It's just where all the hard minerals collect and make that layer. So but it's generally around about a foot thick. Once you break through, it's good, and then you can get water to flow vertically. Whereas here, the caliche layers are like huge, just like me. There's no way I'm going down in there. So yeah, you have to get a jackhammer to break it up and make at least a pot in the ground. And so I put a lot of organic matter in there, and this is what Bill Mollison, the instigator of permaculture from Australia, he says this is the only way you can break up a caliche layer is by breaking it up completely from top to bottom and then filling it up with lots of organic matter, and then it won't grow back. Caliche likes to be with caliche. It's just a need. And it's like water molecules following other water molecules. They have a need to be in relationship. That's why if you plant trees that are 40 feet high, they draw more moisture down from the atmosphere because water needs to be with water. And that's part of the water cycle. So I'm going to start getting into some heavy stuff here. There's a little aerial view. You are here, just in case you didn't know where you were. And, this is the area we're talking about. This is my pointer. I had to modify with my pointer. So this area up here is higher, and this is lower, and then this drop off over here into the area where they are storing some water for their fields. Is that correct? This pond? Is that for the fields below? It's a sewage treatment. Okay. Which could, and it could be methane generator, and it can be all kinds of things. If we match technology with the resource, yes. Good. This is the basic elementary level. Hopefully you can see these images in the back there. I've got a bit of glare from the side here, so I'm familiar with all my slides. So this is the basic. All water, right, comes from the ocean? That's a trick question. All water comes from the ocean, right? It's a trick question. It does not. It originates from the ocean, but then by the time it gets over to the forest, now it's all originating from the forest, right? Because what they didn't do here was really get into more of what the whole picture was about. You might want to go over here, because I'm going to be in your way a bit. Thank you very much. I like my people here to be comfortable and be able to listen and be able to see what's going on. So this is more what the permaculture water cycle looks like. The water cycle originates, rain at 100% is sea origin over here from the ocean. As it becomes into the lowlands and the low portion of the highland forest that's nearby on most coastal regions, the rain is at about 60% here after it's dropped its water and picked it up in these loops. These loops, spiral loops, are the pressure drops of the cloud. Picks up more water, lifts up in the air, gets resistance from the slope. Now the slope is informing that that cloud has got to drop more water so it can continue to get up and over the top. And once it's over the top, now it's dry over on this side. Less trees grow on this side than it does on the side that's facing the water source. So this is how nature works. Nature works in patterns. Permaculture is about patterns. This is a spiral. These are rain patterns, which are random. We've done a lot in technology, but we still can't predict the weather 100%. They tell you what's going to happen on the day, and you say, okay, it could go this way or that, depending on where I am in the metro area or where I am in Arizona. So these bands of rain, so let's go back a slide. I'm going to go forward and back. I'm not a completely linear person. I'm a spiral person. So I'm going to take it back and forth. So the ocean is here on the originating. This is the creek that's flowing back towards the ocean. The ocean is, by evaporation, is releasing moisture into the air. It condensates and becomes clouds. Clouds produce rain or fog or even snow if it's cold enough up in the atmosphere. And the mountains are receiving that water. It's now coming down into the water and recharging and percolating down, and some of it's being retained, and then what's left over, the overflow, is returning back to the ocean. That's the water cycle, right? But we get to intercept water by creating bioswales or swales, by reusing tap water or our regular source of water as grey water. We're infiltrating that. We're capturing some of the water off of our roof spaces so that we can fill our rain garden. And then even after all of that, after we've grown our food, after we've taken care of our bodily needs, the leftovers still going back, and it's a continuous cycle. Rain, water never stops. It's always moving. Even in the ground, it's always moving down slope. Slowly but surely. Moving all the time. Any questions about that piece? Got my pool here. I'm going to get. Yes.
Given that this is like a full cycle here, and so the evaporation in the ocean and all the recharging is kind of required for all of the pieces to be intact. Do you feel like the way things are moving, with the way that groundwater is being treated in the Southwest, that permaculture is going to run into some problems?
It's going to run into some challenges, and I love problems, because now I got the opportunity to create a solution. That's one of the principles of permaculture. The problem is the solution. It helps us keep us out of the box and into a more organic, creative, random style of solution. Morning. solutions oriented in our problems. So I believe that everything's going to get wetter, drier, windier, colder, hotter. Everything's going to ramp up to its next level of extreme, whatever that is. We're going to get a lot more wind, we're going to get a lot more rain, but in short periods and in total blasts where there's a lot of erosion. So we as practitioners of rainwater harvesting, you've already been inducted into the rainwater harvesting class. We are going to be slowing it, spreading it, sinking it, and covering it. Because we have to cover it so that the moisture is retained, so we decrease the evaporation. The evaporation right here, that doesn't work. The evaporation right here is what we need to diminish in our drylands strategy. That is the key to everything. We've got massive CAP canals with massive evaporation. Yes, it's contributing to our environment, but it's not a smart way of delivering water through the desert. It needs to go down or cover it, like they're doing in many places now. They're starting to put solar panels over the canals. That makes more sense. We've got to put solar panels up anyway. The panels will work more efficiently by being cooled by the water below them. Rooftop solar doesn't work that well. It has a low efficiency rating here because of the heat. Solar panels work more efficiently in Colorado than they do here because we need to connect a cooling system with the energy generating system of the solar panel system. I'm diverting. I am sorry. But this is all about heat and the climate and different things. And thank you for that question because, yes, that's what's coming up. And so harvesting the rain in urban settings which is same practices, the same technology, the same strategies, the same recipes, all are the same. They just change on if it's urban or broad scale or, the complete local neighborhood. It's the same strategies. You just got to broaden out your view. So urban settings, which I'm going to show you more of because I have more slides of that, but the same technology is applicable. So dry season scenario, harvesting important. The most important practice that you can do in the Southwest desert, and harvesting directly into the earth is best for your plant's growth. So you don't have to put tanks up. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do those things. You just have to get it in the ground, slow it down, spread it out, sink it into the ground, cover it to decrease I'm going to say this 100 times before you guys leave, so that you embody the slow it, spread it, sink it, cover it mantra into your daily life, because that's going to help guide you as to what technique you choose to do at your home site, your location, your circumstances, your environment. I can't do that for you. I can give you the tools, but you have to apply them. So, urban buildings. Imagine that the urban roof is your mountains. That's our watershed. The urban watershed are the roofs of most buildings, whether they're a flat roof with canales or they're a peaked roof with guttering or not. Where you put the water matters. That's where you come in. You are now the director of the water that's flowing through your project. You'll remember that forever, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, it doesn't matter the convolutions of your roof space. It doesn't matter. It's the footprint, the rectangle, in this case, footprint, or it could be a roundhouse. It doesn't matter. The footprint is your calculation for your water calculations, so that you can size the area of the bed to receive the water that comes in waves. Like we have 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch rain events, right? So in the valley, we have a lot of 1/2 inch and some 1 inch and occasionally 2s, and then I've had 2 inches back to back. And my system was overwhelmed by 4 inches in 4 days. But it managed. I did lose some to the street, but I felt comfortable enough that I harvested all that I could. Like, you're up here and you get 18 inches of rain approximately on an annual basis. But so do I down in the valley. I get about 12 inches of rain in the valley because the rain record for the state of Arizona is Sky Harbor Airport. That most airports have the rain gauges, and that's what's recorded as the local amount. So 7 inches at Sky Harbor, 12 inches at my home on an average basis. Last year I got 19, but the year before that I got 8. So this is what we're going to have to expect. We're going to have to expect all of these irregular patterns. So we can also break down the whole roof space into subsheds. So this portion of the water is going to come this way, that portion is going that way. This is going to join with that over there. That's going to join with this on this side. You can see it's got about 4 major subsheds that create the mountain range that is the roof of a house. Making sense so far? We're building as we go together. So we begin with observation and start small. So you go out with your umbrella and a camera perhaps and record the rain and where it goes, where it flows, where it drains off, where it pools up in the garden. Find the places where water naturally goes, because the more you follow nature, the less labor that you have to do. Permaculture is about learning what not to do so that we have more hammock time. This is Bill's favorite thing. It's like, yes, let's get it done because I'm ready for the hammock. So he'll go in and he'll blast it out, get it all ready to receive the rain. And now he'll sit back and observe, and he'll watch the rain, see where it goes, do a little tweak, do a little adjustment, add a bit, take a bit. That's the observation process. It's very, very important. If any of you are gardeners and want to know what's going on, you're out there, are there bugs on my plant? Is it getting enough water? Is it getting enough sun? What's the plant's needs, right? Same thing for the earth. The earth needs that same kind of detailed observation. Plan from the top of the watershed down, slow it, spread it, sink it, and cover it. Plan, design for overflow. If you don't design the exit for the water is going to make one for you. That's called erosion. Path of least resistance. We need to understand nature so we can follow nature and be more natural in our design. So, typical home site. So, this could be the mountain range over there. This could be, a factory. This could be anything. We're working from the top of the watershed, and we're designing on the process down. The first place we can intercept the water is along the roof edge and gutter line. From that point, we can add pieces of gutter that make the most sense. We could gutter a portion of it here so we could send the water over to the tree. We could not put guttering here so it goes straight down into a bed. We don't have to gutter the whole house. We have to do it smartly by design. So we have less money going into resources that we don't need. Now, we're going to map the high points. We're going to map the low points. We're going to map the property line. We're going to map the area where there's concrete and it's all going out into the road or the alley. Going out into the road. The road is up here. The alleyway is over here. We also can capture the rain that comes off of our neighbors. This is called other people's water. This is really cool, right? Because the ridge line there is making all the water come this direction onto your property. We're calling this your space right now. So that goes into your calculation next door. Because they don't want it, typically, but you're smart. You want the water. You want to keep the water on your property as much as possible because that gives you more resilience. And you'll be more sustainable on your home site. So then it becomes look like this. We've got some solar panels. We've got a hot water panel over here. We've got some rain guttering that brings the water over and puts it into a ferro cement cistern, which overflows into the tree, which has a tap over here which can water the flower bed. Which excess water from your neighbors comes into this bed, which is connected to that bed, which is also connected to the area next to the street, which comes into here. Now we're doing curb cuts in the street right here to harvest the water for our desert trees that are over here. Now you see how water is working for you. You are not working for the water. You are wanting to design the water to work for you. Now it makes sense. Passive water flow means you don't have to be there. Rain or shine, your plants are going to get water from the rain because you designed it. And you regraded the soil so that you can harvest it and put it and concentrate our small amount of water into micro beds, micro basins. Only needs to be 2 inches down. Don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be a 1 foot deep bed. No, only 2 inches are necessary for an urban situation. You may be harvesting off that whole hill. That makes a big difference. Now you've got to calculate that all of that before it gets to here. That may be detrimental in a 2-inch rain event. Any of you lived here when of a 2-inch rain event and you got streams running through the property, yeah? Yeah, I see a few nods, right. So, buildings as an island. So grade, the pointer doesn't work on the television. Grade the soil around the house so that the house is slightly higher than the landscaping. Only needs to be 2 inches. So right around the perimeter of the house, make a walkway, 2 to 3 feet all the way around so that the water never gets to it, that you take care of the termite problem instantly. No water, no termites. So now you push the water slightly away from the house, so the water's coming off the drip line, coming down, hitting that slightly raised area, running off into the beds that are situated around the house. So it's high here, low there. Low here, low there. You see how that works? Right. You solve 2 problems in one. You've redirected the water. It's not going to give you problems. And you've created less work later in another area. Raise all the walkways and parking areas. These become water harvesters, putting the water where you need it into your micro basins for your food, for your shade, or for whatever you need it for. Yes to the veggies, but I'm going to qualify that. Some roof surfaces are not potable roofs harvesters. The asphalt roof in particular is not good to harvest from, to put it on your vegetables. Put it on your trees, your fruit trees, your shade trees. Put it everywhere else, just not on your green leafy veggies. That's a safety measure. So now add the mulch and create the sponge and maybe even put ground cover over it. Now you can add your plants. So plant the water first, then plant the plants. Because you don't want them in the ICU. You don't want them on the drip with a needle in your arm for the landscape, right? You don't want to put the drip system in and then plant the plants, and now the plants are just totally have to survive on that one dripper that you've added to it, and there's no basin for the water that was the most healthiest water for plants is the rain. It's full of nitrogen. It's full of oxygen, as it comes through the atmosphere, it's picking up all of that nutrients. It's picking up particulates out of the air, some of which are good, some of which are not good. But that's all coming in, and that's why the desert smells so lovely in a rain. Okay. It's raining. You can smell it before it arrives, right? Yes. The plants are going, yippee, they're having a party. They've got their food and they've got their water delivered. It's amazing how nature works. So, plant the water, then plant the plants. See, I'm ahead of myself. I can't help it. So, these are all the micro basins. Again, they're only, 2 to 4 inches max deeper than the surrounding area. The water's flowing out, flowing into the beds of which you've wrapped around your house. This is the north side of the house. Keep the front open so you have solar gained. So solar gain, right? Paulo Solari knew that. Solar gain. And then wrap the buildings so you're protecting it from the northeast cold winds that we generally get here, and the southwest hot winds, which can desiccate our plants. So if we wrap it around, the house is here, we wrap it around, we hug the house with our landscape. Now we're doing smart design again, right? Far too many people put the shade tree right in front because, it's when the sun comes from the south, so we have to put a tree in the south. No, the sun's up there in the south, right? You know the sun dance, right? No, okay. So the only time that the sun comes up in the east is on the equinox. The only time. The vernal equinox here, the fall equinox over here. So that's the only time. And it's midway in the horizon. That's its journey. Wintertime, it's here and there, right? It's lower. Summertime, it's way up here. And it goes now the yoga comes way back over here. It sets way over here and rises way over there. We have to know where the sun is so that we can do the sun dance like I just did for like any tree you're putting in. Okay, the tree's here. Okay, the sun's coming up there. It's going over there. It's going to be here in the wintertime. It's going to be there in the equinox. And it's going to be way up there in the summer. And now I know where my shadow lines are. Now I know I can plant my sensitive plants back here because they're going to gain from the shadow of the tree, which I put up there. So I've connected up there with down there. I built and designed a microbasin in a microclimate. Water first. Plant the water first, then plant the plants. So that is essential. We good? This is one of Brad Lancaster. So a bunch of the images that you're seeing here are from Brad Lancaster, one of my teachers. And now I'm going to pass a book, so you're going to have to get up. So this is the newest version, version 3, of the Brad Lancaster Rainwater Harvesting for Drylands book, which is like your go-to. If you're going to be a water harvester, get that book. I don't get any commissions, but I want to support local, and Brad Lancaster from Tucson, of which you're aware. And so he's the guy. Right, so I'm standing on his shoulders right now, and I'm standing on the shoulders of the shoulders of the shoulders of the people before him. So I'm just imparting some of the things that I learned from him and all the other people that I visited. So this is Milagro, I think, co-housing in Tucson, and so this raised paths. Lowered beds, water harvesting potable surface of the roofs. These are metal roofs on all the buildings. All the buildings are connected with these nice meandering. There's no straight stuff. Nature doesn't go like that. Nature wants to go like that. It works its way through the landscape. It doesn't try to go and dig, blast with dynamite through a rock. No, it just goes around the rock, right? It's martial arts, it's Tai Chi, it's Aikido, it's whatever you want to look at it. Nature is a martial art teacher. Permaculture is a martial art in design because it's following nature's patterns already. It's Tai Chi for harvesters. So now we're close to getting ready to plant the plants because we've planted the water. Now we plant the plants. Are there any trees? No. Why? Because we're still creating the place to where the tree, once planted, will be thriving, not surviving. So we're creating the undercover, the undergrowth. Now this is ready to receive a tree. What do landscapers do when they first come onto a site after they finish grading? They put all the big trees in first on the mounds because they don't want to dig. So you find these trees that are on the top of a mound. Now they've got the drip line on the trees to try and keep them alive. Instead of going down, they want to go up because they don't want to dig a hole. Right? You would drive back down into the area again. You'll see them. I see them all the way through. I just laugh, shake my head. It's like idiots. So this is where we're heading. So here's some examples of water harvesting strategies at my location in Mesa. So this is my driveway here, my walkway to my front door right here. I've got this trellis arrangement right here, which you can barely make out. But this is my forest meadow right in front of my front door. I have these beautiful flowers and food plants, and it's just all mixed up. It's mostly right now alfalfa, and there's a bunch of sunflowers back here. There's vines on the trellising. There's my trees back here on my west side. My west side is all treed because I have a lot of hot, dry winds coming from the southwest and west. So I've been diligent in my west side windbreak. Even on a little small 8,000 square foot home site in Mesa, I still have a windbreak. There's a beautiful picture of a rain chain. The rain chain is here. See that piece of brown right there? That's the gutter that goes across, that's over the concrete. From here, it goes down the rain chain over here. This is the other side of the driveway. I have micro swales. I use some sprayers for my vegetable garden area, but these are stream sprays, stream rotors. So they water. So they're 30% more efficient in water distribution than a pop-up. And I don't have to deal with tapes, and I don't have to deal with drips in my vegetable garden, which I'm constantly working and changing. Because I do a chicken rotation system in my vegetable garden. Chickens are part of my crew. I have a night crew, the worms. I have a day crew, the chickens. And I have the 24/7, 365 bacteria and fungi that work no matter what, no matter when. There's no vacation for bacteria and fungi. They just love it. They love their job so much that they want to go on vacation. I have a 400-gallon culvert cistern in the back off of my back porch. I utilize different forms of containers. So you can see container. So I have a demonstration home site. So I don't just have one style of water harvesting container or micro basin. I have many. I've engineered my back garden to harvest water. Even though it's sloping from my back fence towards my house, I've intercepted the water put it into a trench and redirected it and turned it back uphill. But I did it underground because I engineered it. I'll try and draw that later. That's why I got the board up here. For those things that I can't do. There's the trench. So it's a 4-inch trench, 8 inches deep, 4-inch perforated pipe in the bottom. Cover it with a silk cloth, put rock on top. That's now an interceptor. It's basically a modified French drain. I built French drains in England to get water away from the buildings. There's just too much water. And it's like blew my mind when I came here. They were putting French drains in to capture the water. It's like, what? Right? You ain't got enough. So I also have a bucket brigade. There's my bucket brigade. So every time that it rains, the water goes straight into the buckets. In a 1-inch rain, each 5-gallon bucket is full up. Now all I got to do is pick it up and carry it out to my trees. That's my workout for the day. Gardeners know about that, right? We don't have a fitness membership. We work in the garden. There are water storage containers. There are different kinds, and some of them are HOA okay. So I say this because one person at least in here is probably in a HOA situation. None of you? Oh, that's a record. That's great. So, see, this is a little more subtle, where these I can't put that in the front garden. But you can put them in the back, or you can, are they there? No, they're going there. You can use these for hydroponic stuff. You can put them under a patio. It can be completely disguised. Won't even know it's there. But now the problem is you've got to get it back out because you put it down instead of keeping the water up. If you keep the water up, you got passive flow. If you put the water down in the cistern, down below, then you got to get a pump to get it back out. Or you drop a bucket in the hole and winch it back up like they did back in the well times. Everyone got their notepaper out? You got it. This is your homework. Okay, so roof footprint. Typically, a 1,400 to 1,600 square foot home will probably have a 2,000 square foot roof area. I'm just doing this that's a good idea. Get your cameras out, take a picture. So anyone that wants this as a PDF file, the whole thing, I'm happy to send it to you. Just give me your email before you leave, and then I'll shoot you out a PDF of the whole presentation. And it's also being recorded. So there we go. You get it both ways. So total square footage of my home site is about 8,000 square feet, which gives me 4,800 gallons in a 1-inch rain event that just lands on my footprint of my total home site. So these are just ideas. So now, even multiplying the low number of Phoenix's averages rainfall, which is about 8 inches, I still get, in the year, on my home site, 38,000 gallons of water. Can I do something with that? Can I grow something with that? Go up and down. You could go around if you're not sure, just like the Indian people do. Yes. So, yes, you can grow something with that. Most likely it's more of the native plants that you can grow with that, because that's what they're used to. That's what they evolved to be able to do. So if you want to put an exotic tree in, you need to put in a native tree first, on the side that's going to protect and comfort the new tree, which is more sensitive to our climate. Yeah, see, it's like a child. You got to bring it up and train it. Be nice. So in Maya, we got here approximately 18 inches annually, 25 acres. So in a 1-inch rain event, 27,000 gallons of water land on this property. Are you managing it appropriately? Is the question. We don't know. It needs to be evaluated. It needs to be observed. It needs to be calculated. It needs to be modified. We need to work from the top down. Never start at the bottom. You're asking for serious problems. It's like trying to dig a hole at the bottom of Hoover Dam. You're always going to fill up with water. If you start at the top, you slow it, spread it, sink it from the top first. And gradually, layer by layer, down the hill, you're capturing sections. That's why I introduced the term subshed. Even on these vast acreages, you can't put one big capturing swale to capture all the water. You do a series of smaller ones down the system. You're capturing up. You capture, you capture, you capture, you capture. Each one is calculated to keep that square footage of water in a rain event. So, 480,000 gallons of water a year land here on average during the 18 inches of rain on an annual fall. So, microbasins. So here's the area that I was talking about that I was capturing water. There's my fence line back here. There's my back patio. There's the cistern. I was getting lots of water flowing from this side toward my porch. And so my porch was getting 1 inch of rain on the porch, gradually creeping up to my patio door in the back. So I said to myself, the problem is the solution. I have too much water with not enough places for it to be, not enough places to sink and settle. So this, along the porch line right here, is where I intercepted the water. I'm sorry, this is kind of convoluted. I can't walk you through it like I would normally do. Normally, I do the Darren Doherty presentation method. I have a whiteboard and a projector. I project the images onto the whiteboard, and then I can do this, walk you through it with examples of where the water's going, how it's flowing, and I can make it interactive with the PowerPoint. That's my preferred method. It didn't work out. That's fine. We're modifying. I got my stick. I got my eraser. This is my daughter's eraser, so I don't bump the screen. So I intercept the water here, and I put the water in a transfer pipe back to the back fence, and I grow in these plants back here. So this now is a large basin right here. It's only 1 inch deeper than the surrounding area. So I'm keeping all the water here because I have a big pine tree here which is sucking up all that water. Even though that tree is, 30, 40 feet away, those roots are way beyond that. The roots spread way out in that pine tree. So shallow, lowered earth tanks. It's still a tank. It's still receiving the water. It's still holding the water. It's still available for all the plants that's all around it in an interconnected root structure. It's all there. It's all happening. You don't have to be there. Nature's still working without you. It doesn't care about you. Seriously, right? Really? Right. We're working with nature, not the other way around. We can pretend to do that, Corps of Engineers, but it's not necessarily that way. What? You didn't hear that? I said that to myself, right? So in these micro swales again, so I put in a little berm right there. A berm is the raised bit. So you dig a little bit and you throw it on the other side with the downslope coming this way. So you're intercepting the water into a shallow trench, that ditch. Call it a ditch. Call it what it is. We're digging a ditch. And we're stacking the extra soil on the other side. So we are... this is twisting all over the place. Not very stable because I'm trying to hold too many things at once. So we've got slope, and we're going to take that bit out, and we're going to dig that bit down, and then we're going to throw it up on the other side. So now we've gone down, let's say we've gone down 1 foot, or 12 inches down. We've gone 12 inches up, and now we're harvesting water there. You see that? So simple, right? So simple. If you have slope, you have easy water harvesting. This is called the swale. Swale is a ditch on contour. It's level, its entire length, no matter what its shape is. It's level from one side of the property to the other. Think topo lines on a topo map. Contour lines. You got that in your picture in your head? Great. So we're going to go perpendicular. Our trench is perpendicular to the water flow. It's being intercepted and harvested. So we've slowed it. We're spreading it out along its entire length, whatever that distance is, and it's going to be percolating down into the soil, continually going downhill, because that's its primary direction, is still downhill, even though it's down under the surface of the soil. If you can grab this piece, then you're gonna be a rock star. If you can get that piece, water never stops. You slow it down, but it never stops. Might need a bit more water. I'm going to break out the water bottle. All right. So we got the technology down. This is simple earth technology. We're not going full out digital here. We're just going earth technology stuff. So on the bioswale, look, see where the tree is planted? You see that? It's on the slope. It's on the downside, because here the roots are going to go down into the reservoir of water that's being created as we're harvesting. All this water from this trench, this ditch, is continuing to going down. That's why the tree's on this side and not on the uphill side. That's the dry side. Remember your 10 minutes. Remember your water cycle again, right? Dry side, water side, and we're sloping out. So we're utilizing that, and we're growing all of our stuff on the mounded up side. So here's just a couple more examples. So I've got a double barrel system over here. No pun intended. It's 2 barrels side by side. There's no correlation between shotguns and water harvesting. Sorry. So the water's coming off the gutter right here. The gutter's here. It's dropping straight down into this one, which has a net on top to keep the leaves out and the mosquitoes out. Then it's overflow into this one, and the overflow is to the tree. Always make sure you have equal in, equal out. So if it's 4 inches of water from your gutter coming in, you have to have a 4-inch pipe going out. If you put a 2-inch pipe going out, you throttled the water and it's going to back up. Equal in, equal out. Another high-tech thing you have to remember about water harvesting. Okay? There's the trench there. It's actually raining. You have to come and look really close, but there's the cascade and it's filling up my bucket brigade. So that's as high tech as you want to get. Do some dumpster diving, get some paint buckets, peel out the latex paint out of the paint bucket, and then put that under the eave of the house. And after it's rained, go out and harvest the water and put it to where it's needed more. That's water harvesting. Storage is in water, in the soil. So these are, in Australian terms, called boomerangs. There's a song about that, but we're not going to do it right now. This is an interconnected net and pan system. So if you can imagine that this goes this way and this goes this way. So this one right here, the also called a crescent, will overflow on its wing and fill up the next one. Will overflow on its wing, will fill up the next one. Will overflow on its wing and go to the next one. You see how that works? It's an orchard on a slope by design. That's why it's called permaculture design. Swale, there's your lens of water. The native people of the land, waffle beds. This is a grid pattern, but each one of these beds is lower than the pathway that's in. Even if that pathway is only this wide, you can still walk down through there. You can still manage the beds. It can be 8-foot squares with a 2-foot path. It's all relative to scale of how much you're planting and what kind of plants you want to put in there, and how much water you have. Right? You have to build it, and then they will come. I like to laugh at my own jokes. Here, this is called a French chimney. So it's all the water has been harvested on the top, but you can make like a post hole, like for the fencing. You dig a post hole, and then you fill that full of rock. And then, so the water goes down there and deep waters. The quicker you can get a tree with deep tap roots and deep water and deep structure, the more resilient and strong that tree is, because it's got a solid anchor in the ground. And it's going to move in the wind, but it's not going to fall over. Trees fall over, especially in the valley, when they're next to a lawn, because that's shallow water, not deep water. It's the deep water you need for deep roots. Just in case you didn't, I was all nice and clean and tidy today. I wanted to show me dirty and smelly and stinky out there, because I'm out at Wind Spirit Eco Community helping build a Gabion. Gabion is just to slow the water down and reduce erosion. It's going to cascade right through me and land on the splash pad down below. The splash pad is there to stop the erosion. You see the smile of the Gabion? We're directing the water, we're gathering the water and concentrating it into the middle so that it reduces erosion. It goes on the splash pad and then gets dispersed out from there. So that's a Gabion. That would be an interceptor in like an arroyo, a wash, a creek bed, whatever your terminology you want to do it. So Gabion's that. Brad is leaning away from Gabions, and that's okay. One rock check dams, brush dams, different things like that are now coming more into focus, because they're feeling like this is too disruptive for the flow of water. Here, I've intercepted the water. This is really hard to explain. I don't know if I have enough time to really go through this fully. And it's somewhat hard to see. It's a dark image. This is the boundary line of the property right here. Right about here. And I've put an intercepting ditch across the top to harvest the water from the top edge. I've redirected it into this pond. The pond is the earth tank. It's been raining really hard. I have a spillway right here where the water can breach over this. When it fills up completely, it will go over this edge right here. And then it's going to go down this eastern edge of the property. And I've created an open ladder. I know you can't see that too well, but I've created these mounds. So if I'm drawing the fence line like this, I've created these fingers that come out like that. Here's the pond. Here's the spillway. The water's going to distribute itself. It's going to go around, fill up around here. It's going to fill up. It's going to fill up. It's going to fill up. I've done a version of the crescent, but as in a form of a ladder. The water is going to keep going down, and each one of these spaces is going to be a tree. And then there's going to be vines all the way along the fence line. Now we've taken a completely open, blasted a boundary line, put trees in, put vines in, and we've created a food boundary on the east side of the property. Because we harvested the water. We slowed the water down, we spread it out, we sunk it into the ground, and we covered it, and then now we are able to plant it. So that's the ladder. Now in here, you can kind of see these are freshly made swale lines through here. They don't have to connect all the way. Sometimes you're going to meet a boulder as big as a house, and your swale goes up to the boulder, and then you start on the other side, and you keep on going. All you're trying to do with the swale is slow it, spread it, sink it, however much the portion is. It can be a 10-foot portion or a 300-yard portion. It makes no difference, so long as it's level, so long as you're slowing it, spreading it, sinking it. Don't overthink it. Underthink it. So there, 10 months later, now it's completely filled in with grass. Before it was flat land. Now it's all grass. You can see just barely the swale lines coming out here. The land slopes from the northwest corner to the southeast corner, like so. So that's why it's that way. This is going to be the location of the house whenever it goes in. But meanwhile, we've harvested all this. It's ready now to receive the trees and other plants. Because we did our due diligence and we got the land ready to receive it. Keyline design, that's when I met Darren Doherty. The key point is what you must know. Convex curve, concave curve. The point of inflection is the point at which you can begin to harvest water. If you can get that piece. You can't be swaling up here. This is your first swale. Down just below the key point, where the curve changes from convex to concave. That's as technical as it gets. So, this is a ranch in Australia. We're looking at 760 acres of land. This is 25 acres. 760. Imagine that. Big space. These ponds are big, but they're all interconnected. This pond connects to that pond. That pond connects to this pond. That pond connects to that pond. That one to that one. That one. It's an interconnected pond system that will harvest so you can grow your grains, you can grow your whatever your food is. But instead of tractoring straight up, straight down, all of these lines, you're tractoring on the curve. You're following the contour, and you're doing it that way, on the curve. Because you also want whatever work you do on the land, you want it to create a space for the water to slow it down and spread it out along its path. So instead of it all coming down, there's all these intercepts in the way and collection places where the water can be pumped out across the land to grow food. Come on. The keyline plow is a plow that was set up by P.A. Yeomans, again in Australia. His book is called Water for Every Farm. So this is the samurai sword, right? Think ninja, think samurai. This is a carbon steel blade on a plow with a pre-cutter disc on the front. This is the direction of travel. That way. This pre-cuts the soil, and this is like a foot. So it's like that down below, and it's got a blade along here, and it's cutting through. And see, that's what the plow did. It did not invert. Inverting soil is not good for the soil food web. It's called a web for a reason. It needs to be interconnected. If it's not, it's struggling. So the more we damage the soil food web, the less resilient our plants will be. So if we can do this and restore the land, so this is first season, second season. Third season, we come back in and do our cuts in between the second season. The third season, we do cuts on the other side of it. And so we've made 3 seasonal cuts. Now we've gone down the depth of the blade, 24 inches. Now we've got that much soil and that much fertility to grow food in large systems. Acres and acres and acres. This is the plow that went around on the previous one. Now, a seed driller can be added to this on the back side of it. So on the front side of it, the hopper's right here. So as the cut's being made, the seeds can be dropped as it's going. I'm out of time. Okay, I got to go a bit faster. Thankfully, I've only got a couple more slides. We're doing good so far. So, Brad Lancaster's book. So I'll send the other one. This, if you want to learn about the earthworks. So this is how to create all the bits and pieces that I've been talking about. This is the earthworks book. And then his third book is the water storage book. So he's got the, wherever the book is, he's got the cover everything, he's got the earthworks, and there it is in the back. So I'm going to set this one around. It doesn't have the third one yet. It's on the way. Right. And then there's a couple of other interesting books here that we brought over. So growing food in the hottest dry lands. Right. Excellent book. If we're going to grow food here in the next 20 years, we gotta go back to your basics and go back to natives practice. They're our teachers. They were here long before us and lived here, for 1,000 years or more. That's amazing living in this climate. So there's another little book, which is Gardening with Less Water. Is a guy from San Diego area, and David Bainbridge. And if you listen to any of Greg Peterson's podcasts, he interviewed this guy. So if you want to go on the Urban Farm podcast stuff, you'll find some information there. So lovely little color plates in here. It's really kind of cool. So I'll send that book around. You can look at that. And then Gary Naban's book. Can go the other direction. No, I just follow you. Let's keep books going that way. So those are those books that are available, and then I'm going to switch it to the next slide because these are a few others. So there's your Earthworks book, how to bank the water, put water into the rainwater, and then how to drink it. So it goes into the process of making it a potable water. I mean, Aussies and people throughout Asia, they just harvest the rain off the roof, put it in the container, and they drink it. Right? It doesn't matter what's been on the roof. Rats, hamsters, birds, kids, it doesn't matter, right? They just drink the water because their gut is used to that. As a child, they're just ready for it. Unless it's really bad, then they're totally fine on that pot. Wow. There's a big bird. Just right there. It's like, thank you very much. So there's lots of different books on this. Is state-by-state guides, although that changes like the wind. Who knows what next week is going to be somewhere else. They're trying to, even Phoenix right now is trying to legislate a law that is supportive of rainwater harvesting and has some credits to harvest water at your home site, just like a solar credit. They're trying to get, like Tucson is already, some rainwater harvesting credits where you get a credit for putting a tank in and stuff like that. Again, the more you can grow on your home site, the more it's going to rain. Water attracts water, especially if you put in the 40-foot or higher trees. Do not, please, I beg you, do not be scared of a big tree. If you get the tree in, you get those deep roots in, there's never going to be a problem. Get the water down where the tree needs it. Chase the slug. There's a pretty interesting book which I have at home, Water Storage. It has all the different ceramic, earth and clay, underground, above ground, harvesting the water from the top of the house, like in Lebanon. The roof is the water harvester. They build it so that they have water channels from the roof down the exterior of the wall inside a pipe, down to the basement, which is the cistern. The basement is the cistern. The Sistine Channel, Sistine Chapel has a cistern in it, in the basement. This is how the people in the Middle East harvest water. Then the next room would be the kitchen area, and then the family room, then the bedrooms, which are sitting above the water. They're getting the best water is. On the other side of the roof, they have a wind sail. It's a wind catcher. So it's the reverse to a kite. It's fixed. It's pushing the air down the channel, down to the cistern, which then becomes the evaporative cooler as the cool air moves through the building back out the roof. Isn't that amazing? Technology has been around for thousands of years in Persia and that whole region. They know how to live in the dry lands. We're babies. We're relearning how to walk again, right? And that's my introduction to rainwater harvesting.
All right, thanks, Don. We do have a few minutes for questions, so if any of you have a question for Don. Okay.
Yes.
Here, wait, I'm going to capture them on the mic so we can
get
them on the video.
Questions go into the recording. Nice. I'm gonna drink while you talk.
Sure. So I am in the middle of creating some rainwater catchment areas around already existing fruit trees.
Yes.
And I would love your help brainstorming a little bit. I'm thinking it probably wouldn't be a good idea to cut a swale in because there's already living roots there.
Right.
So would just putting a berm maybe be the best way to go? And then in that case, would that berm need to be made from the same type of soil in order to like still accumulate instead of like passing through much faster than the subsoil, which is a harder clay?
Is it flat or do you have slope?
There's a little bit of slope, like.
See, normally I wear a shirt that says, "It depends." ... See, I asked him a question about his question. So, is it flat?
There's a bit of a slope, like.
A little bit
like
of
this.
a slope.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got a little bit of a slope. That helps, doesn't it? So we can. You don't have to dig. You can just pile it up right here. You can make a berm right here, which will capture more water.
Totally. Okay. And so then.
That's the crescent.
If that berm were made with looser soil
Yes.
than the ground level soil,
Yes.
would that still work or not necessarily because it'll pass
It's going to
through
slow it, spread it, and sink it. We don't need to capture it.
Okay.
If we capture it, if we put Hoover Dam right there, it's concrete, right? We're going to capture it. We're going to hold it hostage, right? Yes, it will remain here longer, but what it's not going to do is we want it to go down.
Right.
So we need loose soil in here. So you get a water drill and you bore some holes around the tree to loosen that hard soil around the tree. That's also watering the tree. You build up a berm on the downhill slide so you can capture some of that water, and you're not having to dig. You're not disturbing the root zone of the tree, out here, right? We're not disturbing that. We're minimizing the disruption. That's good. We're gonna drill down to get some of that water, percolate, get some air, get some porosity, modify the structure so it's not impacted. We're opening up the structure of the soil. Now we can get the water down there. Now we can get the food down there. Now we can get the soil life going. Now we can get the mycorrhizal threads to start to continue to grow. And we can get the bacteria to populate. Now we've got a thriving tree, not a surviving tree.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, that's great, because loosening the soil around the tree is a great solution to like not having as hard of soil on the berm.
Yes.
So it'll sink down. Thank you so much.
Now you can, with the shovel, compact the berm. You can walk the berm. You can do that. Give it a little bit more stability and structure. Yes. But there's no need to make it impenetrable. You want the water to move, because that's not the only plant, is it? There's more plants down here, right?
Sure.
You
Yeah.
never stop the water, ever. You just create a problem. Now the fish can't get up the hill, right? In the Salmon River, right? We've done too many things and not thought about the whole picture. It's always about the whole picture. It's never about the piece.
Thank you so much, Don, and thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Right.
Okay, Don, thank you so much for your presentation.
Sure.
I have a few questions. The first one, you are harvesting the natural water. So how about the one you are using in the society? You are using water like in the society, you are washing our hands, clothes.
Yeah.
So are you harvesting that one?
In my urban situation, yes, I'm connected to the grid, so I have city water.
Okay.
And then I do some gray water harvesting, so that I have a 1980 built home, so there's no way I'm going to modify for gray water harvesting on my home. I can do a laundry to landscape, but the other thing I can easily do is move me. So from the summer, from June and through October, I go and shower outside. So I move myself outside, shower outside. The water is instantly there for the tree. He can verify that I have my outdoor shower. And that's how I do some gray water harvesting from the tap water. So second use of gray, making water work more efficiently than it would do just in and of itself. Yes, the stacking functions. The more ways you can move the water to do more operations and give more value, the better. Yes.
My second question, what are the challenges in harvesting water in the urban areas? You are facing some of the challenges?
The first challenge is the HOA. So these are the homeowner associations that say, no, you cannot put up that pretty thing over there because that has food on it. What? What do you mean I can't put a fruit tree in my own front garden? No, we're going to get rats. Oh, no. We're going to get coyotes. Yes, danger. So we have some issues with what we can and can't do in some areas of the Metro Phoenix area. So some of us designers are doing stealthy methods, right, of harvesting, like the, French drain. It just looks like the same thing. They don't know what's going on below, so we're out at midnight with our picks, trenching. So the HOA is tucked up in their beds, and they won't know what's going on. And then we'll put this pretty little pot on there, but the pot is only that thick with soil, and the rest of it happens to be a water harvesting container. Oh, man, isn't that a pretty pot? So we have to wiggle and waggle with the different regulations from city to city, from state to state, from nation to nation. It's a mess, right? But we still have to harvest it because we know the true value of water. It's in what we eat after we've made it work the best.
So my last one
Yes.
is in terms of the data production, because you're trying to convince some of the policymakers.
Yes.
I heard you saying that, I think, is it in Tucson or Phoenix, they're trying to make a law so that they can mobilize people to harvest water. So in terms, you need to have a data.
This is 2 thumbs up. See this 2 thumbs up?
Okay.
This is great
So
because
if you don't have data, it is not going difficult. It's going to be very difficult to convince some of the politicians.
no, this will help.
Okay.
Because if the state or the city is instituting assistance to harvest the rain, this happened in the solar industry. The HOA was trying to stop people from putting solar panels on their house
Okay.
because it affected the property values in the neighborhood. So instead, the state said, no, you cannot block that. That's a right for the person. Now, is it not a right for everyone to harvest water? I believe so. And if they institute these credits, these tax credits for rain harvesting, then the idiots will move out of the way. They will say, okay, we're not going to fight this one because this is set up. And so let's make it pretty. Let's make it, lovely. Let's raise the value of our house because we have a food forest. What? The realtors are part of the problem in that they only value the property based on the building, not the land as well. And therein lies our difficulty. We need to convince them that the tree has value. We already know that. Carbon credits, carbon counting for a tree. My 50-foot tall pine tree on my property sucks carbon out of the air every day. It's sucking carbon out of the air. My tree. That's scientifically proven. So the more trees we have, the better our climate will be. The more trees we have, the more rain we'll have. The more trees we have, the more food we can make. What? This is not rocket science. This is basic elementary. And that's the trouble. Most of our politicians didn't get past 8th grade, right? Because they're so ambitious, they were running towards the finish line of power instead of service.
So are you in fishing? Urban fishing?
Am I teaching?
Fishing.
Fishing?
From when you get the water to fish.
Yes, we can do that.
Urban fishing.
Not as much here
Fishing.
because of the dry land situation.
Okay.
If I had a pond,
Okay.
I had a place, I would put as much greenery and overhead shade as I could afford. I'd make like the chinampas of the Latin American countries. I can shade those. Those are easy to shade. We put these fingers out so that there's gaps of water in between. There's so many things we can design in a way that magnifies the value, stacking it.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. Okay.